A very good evening and welcome along to We're Not Really Here for the final fixture before Christmas, where a spot in the Carabao Cup semi-finals is a present both sides want to take home for the fans. It's Manchester City versus Arsenal at the Emirates, a fascinating fixture indeed. Master versus apprentice, and two teams that both I think have struggled to hit the back of the net. Who will come out on top? We will be finding out at full time, and here to get into this tantalising fixture before Christmas, joining me in the studio, we have got Joleon Lescott, Michael Brown and Paul Dickov. Very good evening, gentlemen. Joleon, welcome back. I want to cast your mind back to that draw. What were your first thoughts when you saw Arsenal come out that pot for us at the Emirates in this quarter-final game?
To be fair, whoever we face in this competition, I'm just excited. We've dominated it for the last 3 or 4 years, so I'm not really concerned with who we face. In the greatest respect to Arsenal and Mikel. But yeah, I'm just thinking we'll get through this. We apply the right professionalism in this competition, and 9 times out of 10 we get the job done. We're
going to come to it a little bit later on, Paul. Just touching upon, of course, an Arsenal team that is struggling at the moment. Would you say this is a good time to be playing them, or actually could that be working in the opposite and it's not a great time because they're going to want to put things right?
No, they want to put things right, and I think if you've seen Mikel's interviews over the last few days, he's trying to find every excuse he can for the form that they're in at the minute. But if Arsenal play as they can play, it'll be difficult. But I know you're going to do the teams in a minute, but it's a strong team we've put out again, and our fancies comfortably tonight.
Same for you, Michael, I guess, of course, when you look at Arteta and you also look at Pep Guardiola, do you think we're going to be seeing those mind games again that we used to see in this fixture?
Well, you're going to certainly try that. I mean, he knows Pep and his teams very well. He knows the players inside out, but it's all about his side. He's tried to find some sort of formation, some sort of setup. Early on in the season, I thought he was getting some sort of setup and a feel for the side, but ultimately there's still a few players light. I will give him that as a great excuse, and a few have underperformed. But now the pressure's on. He's got harder to try and do what he really wants to and play from the back and have a setup that he wants.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how they fare against our Manchester City team this evening, and we can bring you that first 11 now. It looks like this tonight. Zach Stefan starts in goal. We have a back four of João Cancelo, Ruben Diaz, Aymeric Laporte partners Diaz, with Alexander Zinchenko at left back. We have a midfield three of Rodrigo, Fernandinho and Bernardo Silva, I think, and a forward three of Riyad Mahrez, Phil Foden and Gabriel Jesus returns to the starting 11. On the bench, Ederson, Walker, Stones, Sterling, Ilkay Gundogan, Sergio Aguero returns to the squad, and Ferran Torres. A very tasty looking bench. Maybe we'll come to that in just a second. Joleon, happy with that starting 11? It's a strong one.
Yeah, definitely. As Paul said, I think every team we put out is strong. Again, if you look to early parts of the season, 9 of them players were starting in the Premier League. So, as I said, any team that Pep puts out is strong. The squad they've accumulated over the last couple of seasons is as strong as anyone in Europe. So, yeah, it's a strong team, and I expect a good performance.
No Kevin De Bruyne, Michael. Is that a cause for concern, do you think? Of course, not on the bench as well, so maybe just a bit of rest?
I think for anybody who loves football, you just want Kevin De Bruyne on the pitch. We'll all tell you, whenever he plays, generally things happen. He's a fabulous player, but he's played a lot of football. Let's just hope Pep Guardiola is resting him and there's no other issues. I just want to see him play as much as possible. But it's in a side where the scoring goals and winning all of the time. We haven't seen probably the best of Manchester City over the last couple of weeks. And hopefully him not featuring, will he get that little bit of rest to continue that journey, because we know how good he is. But it's still a really, really strong side to go and play against an Arsenal side who are not at their best.
We see Gabriel Jesus returns to the forward line. Paul, I know you've always kind of waxed lyrical about Jesus. Do you think that rest was kind of something that he needed, given that he'd kind of played most of the games and obviously a lot of pressure on his shoulders, given he was our only striker?
Yeah, it is, and I say it all the time. If you look at Gabriel Jesus' minutes, goals to minutes record, it's up there with the very best. And he takes a bit of unjust stick for me sometimes, but the players he's getting around. It'll be interesting tonight whether Bernardo Silva plays in the middle of the park as a 3 or goes wide, and I would like to see Phil Foden in the middle as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that. But you look at the team and there's just quality everywhere. They're creating chances and hopefully scoring goals.
Let's pick up on that though, Paul, and I guess for you both, Joleon, where do you think, if you were to take the Bernardo and Phil Foden debate, where do you stand on it?
I think long term future will be in the middle. at the moment, yeah, I see him playing out wide. He's obviously has a little bit more pace, recognised pace than Bernardo. But again, he's effective in any position, and so is Bernardo. So I'm sure they'll be interchange, and as long as they play within the boundaries of what Pep has asked them to do, there'll be plenty of rotation, and you can expect them to pop up anywhere.
It gives him more opportunities to go and get goals and to have that confidence, less sort of responsibility going the other way when he plays in those advanced areas. Because I'm wondering why, cause we probably all this season expected Foden to play in the middle, play more times than he has. I'm still trying to find out why he doesn't that. Maybe the responsibility.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. I think that's probably been the question marks over him not playing more games in the past, is that can Pep trust him defensively? He hasn't been tested. Like, I'm sure he wouldn't have been tested in the academy, coming through that system and just playing for Man City. Then you just going forward. Yeah, you know what I mean? You only ever have to win it back high up the field. And as I said, you've dominated possession most times. So that'll be a new aspect to him. There'll be times when he'll be lost in terms of where do I go in positioning wise when we haven't got the ball for periods of time. But it's just a learning curve for him.
I think he's got for the defensive side, he's got the energy to do it. You know, one of his biggest assets, and there's lots of them, is the energy he's got. And I think we said the other week there when we were on the show, Kel, that when he does, even when he plays wide, because he naturally wants to play in the middle, you find him tucking in a lot more. You know, he doesn't play as a natural wide player. He tucks in a lot and comes in and gets the ball, especially when he's Mendy's in the team, you know, or Kyle's in the team, whatever side he's playing, and lets them bomb forward.
And then the other player, of course, that we were talking about is Bernardo Silva, who then we assume will be in there. He's kept his place from the game against Southampton. I felt that actually that was much needed. Speaking of energy we needed in the park, especially complementing with Gundogan and Rodri, Michael.
But you've seen that's what Bernardo can give you when he's got a run of games, when he's at his best. The amount of ground he was covering, winning balls back for the team. We see, you know, when he plays regular, he hasn't done that so much of late, what we would have expected. But I think he's comfortable in either position. So if you want to defensively stop Arsenal setting up, as we think Arteta might want to do, and roll it out from the back, well, then you might say, well, do you know what? Bernardo's excellent at that. We'll let him go advanced a little bit more to try and nick it higher up the pitch, stop them getting out, stop any sort of momentum. Because the build-up play is exactly what Mikel Arteta's trying to do, but it's then how they advance from there.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to be in the number 10 role anyway, because obviously you see Fernandinho and Rodri in there, so they're going to be the two sitting players.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a number 10, so it's going to be more of a free license to just get forward and get into the box. So who knows who's going to be in there, but I'm sure between Mahrez, Foden and Silva, they're all rotating and being in multiple positions.
It was off what you just said there, Michael. That question of build-up play, because as we all know, there's been this kind of question over City at the moment, and it's there to see. We're struggling to put the ball in the back of the net. The problem, though, isn't coming in the build-up play, Paul, because we are creating the chances. So is it more in the finishing department then that we're looking to where the problem might be?
Yeah, well, I think that's there for everybody to see, the amount of chances that we do create. The finishing has been it's been a problem recently, but I would be more worried if West Brom game here a couple of weeks ago, Sam Johnson gets man of the match, Southampton goalkeeper at the weekend, but we're making them make saves, you know, and 9 times out of 10 the best player in the opposition has been the goalkeeper. So if we weren't working the goalkeeper, I'd be more worried. But I think with Gabriel coming back in, Sergio urging his way back to fitness, that will soon be addressed.
I think the natural is Aguero.
Yeah.
When Aguero's finishing at his best, Raheem Sterling getting goals as well, it's a totally different for the side. And Gabriel Jesus does lots of other work, not just really that sort of put the ball in the net, which we'd see from Aguero. I think chances are down, not as high as what we'd expect from a Manchester City side. But again, at the top, they're just not being clinical. Not everybody looking in. It's not just the 9. It's not we've seen Torres getting a few, but all around the pitch need to be a little bit more clinical.
If you look at Chelsea, like Silva and Zuma have got like 7 goals between them. So there needs to be contributions from all over the field. But in terms of the conversion rate, it's down. But I feel we're a victim to our own success. We're used to seeing 5 or 6 goals a game. But when Man City win 1-0, it's deemed not good enough.
Yeah.
So again, you kind of obviously...
The double-edged sword, isn't it?
It's hard.
Completely.
It's hard, but you got to kind of take it as it comes, because you're all right while taking the plaudits when we are scoring 5 and 6. But then,
no, but it's a double-edged sword, because the one thing that's always been pointed at us over the last few years is defensively. You know, we've been fantastic. It's 8 clean sheets in the last 10 games. You know, so we've sorted that side of it out. Not scoring enough goals, but You know, if you're winning 1-0 or winning 2-1, it's just as good as winning 5 and 6-0 sometimes. That's what it's all about.
Especially in that game against Southampton. Have you ever experienced, I mean, Johnny, it'd probably be for you for a defensive side, but, you know, been in a team or been in a period of the season where there has just been like a block, or, you know, where something just isn't quite going your way, a little bit like what City are experiencing?
Yeah, that was most of my career. Kel,
He's a liar.
Come on, Paul, we know that's not true. But you see it, do you know what I mean? And you see it on the flip side when people really are in form, and I don't know if it happens defensively where you feel like you're doing everything right, but you just can't get rub of the green.
Yeah, there's times when you go through and you feel like you're playing well and you're just going to concede. And even though the team's winning, you get frustrated because you want to keep a clean sheet. And I'm sure that'll be the case I know it'll be the case with Sergio. As much as the team is winning, he'll want to score, and he always wanted to score. So I'm sure that hasn't changed. But again, it's different. Like we've talked about the balance, and I think as the season goes on and the games become more important, we'll see the balance twist back to more even keel on a forward-thinking team. But
that's
at the moment,
personnel, though, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
Do you know, like, of how you're feeling, whether it be a defender, you actually think, well, okay, I'll get there, I'm fine, I'm comfortable, I'll take a touch, and I'll just clear it off nicely. And when you're a little bit more agitated, you conceded a few, you'll go a little bit quicker.
It's perfect.
You don't open the face, you slash at it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think if you look at the Man United game, when John Stone's on the edge of the box and then it started off the chance for Mahrez when he probably should have touched it. Last season, he miscontrols that and they score. But this season, his confidence is a bit higher. He's obviously a bit more relaxed, whatever it is, and it's working for him now. And it showcases how good of a player he is. But as I said, the confidence
same top
is massive.
of the pitch, isn't it? It's the same top of the pitch when the chances come. I mean, Paul, you'll know exactly when a few goals come along.
When you're struggling, you need something, whether it goes in off your backside or you need that slice of luck. But when it's going against you and you are missing chances, I mean, we've seen the 2 chances here last week. You know, Ilkay's one, I don't want to bring it up again, Kel, because you were losing your head about
that one, and the Sterling one that really got me.
And then Raheem's one at the end. 9 times out of 10, you know, that ends up in the back of the net. So we just need a little bit of luck, I think. I think we're playing well enough. We're still creating chances. And as I say, big thing, keeping clean sheets. And I've no doubt it's going to all click together very soon.
Beautiful stuff, and off that, clean sheets, Joleon, I've been waiting to have you on to just to ask you and see what you have made of the resurgence of John Stones. I mean, we're all aware, I think, of the conversations over the summer, whether he was going to stay. He's saying he wants to fight for his place. Now I was even reading Stain yesterday talking about a contract renewal. What is it that has improved about it? I know you said confidence, but...
Confidence, yeah, but obviously concentration. I also believe the addition of Diaz and Ake would, make you realise it's real. Like there's a possibility you may be leaving. Obviously, he was down in the pecking order. I don't think anyone could argue he was 5th, 6th choice centre half at the start of this season. Whether everyone would admit that or not, but he's been given an opportunity and he's took it with both hands, and he's proven that he can be as good as anyone in this league. He's obviously got the composure when his confidence is high to do things that other defenders can't do, but he's also now eradicated all the small things and he's doing the basics.
But do you think the team performance, do you know, with the setup, whether you have 2 holding midfielders in front of him, a central defender who's playing well next to him, it allows him to be more comfortable? Do you know, there's not as many chances, or you're not as open? Yeah,
definitely,
so
that would help.
More protected, and after it goes,
you're having to defend less opportunities, less attacks, so... I'm sure he's capable of defending, we know that, but when it's the difference between defending 5, 6 attacks to 15, it's different. So, you may be able to kind of
I think he's got the confidence, though, mate. Yeah. Do you know, when you speak to him, when you see him, and I think he just needed a run as well. Needed a run, and getting some games,
that's the big
thing
for me. You know, if you look over the last sort of couple of years, he'll play 4 or 5 games, and he'll just be hitting the heights, we know that, and then he'll miss 4 or 5 games, and he'll pick up. It's never been a long-term injury, but it's little niggly injuries that keeps him out. Now he's got the consistency going, and he looks stronger. He looks a lot more confident.
Yeah, he looks a lot bigger. To be fair, he does look a lot bigger.
And for me as well, I've never seen him win so many aerial duels. Like that Burnley game, I think he won 5 out of 5 aerial duels. He won the first headers against Southampton and against.
Have you been taking him in the gym?
Well, you know how it is, Michael. I thought it was one of them. It's the arm over the shoulder, but it does reconcile. And I know what you're saying though about the competition, but then when Ake did come in, we did concede a goal because we'd kept the clean sheet. So there is something about this Diaz and Stones partnership.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Obviously, confidence, but it'll also play in the attacker's mind as well. You'll feel you'll get no change at the moment. You'll be facing them two, and you were thinking there's no change coming this way. You know what I mean?
And Joel made a great point at the start of it by saying the competition. You know, because before, or the first couple of seasons, it was first name the team sheet. You can get in your comfort zone when that happens. If you know you're playing every week, you can get a little bit relaxed about it. But You know, I think with Ake coming in, obviously, Laporte, Diaz, the competition there is massive.
He's had to come through a bit of adversity, hasn't he?
Like he was behind.
He's risen
Garcia.
to
But he was
his
behind them, though. But you
was
behind
behind Fernandinho.
Diaz and Laporte at the start. Everyone was
Yeah, he
going,
was.
this is it now, there's the
Yeah,
partnership.
yeah.
And he's come through that.
The biggest compliment you can pay him, we all know how much we missed Laporte last season and what a fantastic player he is. John's been keeping him out on merit as well.
Yeah.
And then that's what I'm saying. I mean, of course, we think we've all noticed, you know, Laporte isn't in the 11. I think he's missed a couple of squads.
Yeah.
So on the flip side, could he maybe he's going through his process of learning, Michael, what it is to have to fight for your place? Because he has been first name on the team sheet since he signed in January when he's been fit.
That was the talk, wasn't it? Everybody was saying, we need him back. We missed him with the injury, and we did. That left-sided centre-back who could step in with that left foot. You felt he was the real leader. But things change. You're at a club like Manchester City, you're looking over your shoulder, you have a couple of off days, and we don't know whether he had a slight injury, missed it, and you give somebody opportunity.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing. And you look, don't you, and you go, oh, I'm not playing this weekend.
Yeah.
And you see someone going in thinking, if they have a good game, it might be a long time. So it breeds that sort of desire in the squad that you've got to be on top of your game week in, week out, and that's what you need. You need to be looking over your shoulder all the time.
Yeah.
January comes and everybody's in there, and you were thinking, is there another one coming in? Is there? And that's what you need in a top club, and that's what you'd expect it.
I think this season, more than most as well, Pep's tended to keep the same team a lot and not make too many changes. I know there's a lot tonight, but being the cup game, but especially in that central defensive part as well.
And I think Diaz is massive for that, because I think if you look at his appearance record over the last 2 seasons, he's played over 50 games, which I think was key when recruiting him. I don't think it was necessarily just ability. It was like, how reliable are you in fitness? Like, none of our centre-halves have been fit for that amount of games, regardless of how good they've been playing. But he has been, like, consistently reliable and available for Benfica before he arrived. So I think that was a massive part.
It's so interesting. They're points that you don't even think about as a fan. You're thinking, you just want, for instance, Koulibaly. Has he played all the games that you wanted him to play, though? Absolutely not. Brilliant stuff. All right, we're going to take a pause from proceedings here, because we can now hear from Pep Guardiola. Here he is speaking pitchside at the Emirates ahead of our quarter-final fixture against Arsenal.
Pep, you're up against Miguel again. Is it still strange to come up against someone who was such a good friend and a former colleague?
Yeah, of course, a little bit, yeah. We spent incredible time together. And I learned a lot from him, and yeah, it's always strange.
He's made a lot of changes tonight. What are you expecting from Arsenal?
The same desire, the same idea, to try to impose his own game. So, yeah, I have a problem, have injuries, so that's why Carabao Cup, focus in the Premier League, and with this amount of incredible competitions and games, you have to rotate the team.
And what's the thought behind your team selection tonight?
To win the game.
It's a strong team. Sergio on the bench, are you hoping you might get some minutes out of him tonight?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he's going to play minutes. He's not ready for 90 minutes, but maybe he's going to play minutes, yeah.
And you will start as favourites. And this is a competition, obviously, that you've dominated in recent years.
Yeah, the last 7 years, won 4 times, 3 the last ones, yeah. But every season is a new one. So we came here, we traveled to London, like we saw London, like we didn't expect. So we saw this marvelous city in this way. And yeah, we tried to win again, came back to Manchester.
Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
That is Pep Guardiola there speaking ahead of our game against Arsenal. It was a little conversation that we were having here in the studio. I think we'd be remiss not to have it because it's on all our lips. The Sergio Aguero conundrum. I mean, is the niggles there that we don't know? I'm trying to work, it's this thing of, because he was in the squad, he came on and scored and then wasn't in the squad. Is that could it be injuries, or is it just between kind of Pep and the team?
Well, you've got to say, when Sergio Aguero's fit for a number of games, we would have expected him to start this one. We all looked along the line and sort of said, is Aguero fit? Is there something? Has he got a longer term issue that he can't play the amount of minutes that you'd expect? Is it the team you're coming up against? But for the longer it goes on that Sergio isn't playing, you would think, well, there seems to be a little issue. We want to get him back on the pitch, but we don't always know. Is he doing everything possible in training? We're questioning that Pep Guardiola demands the highest standards, and we would expect the highest of standards from Sergio Aguero all the time. But Joleon, you've worked with him, and you'll know.
He's obviously there's something there. There's an issue with his knee. Yeah, as you get older, there is anyway. We all know that. But in regards to the training aspect of it, I'm sure his training would be tapered now due to his age and his contribution. Again, regardless of how he trains or how he's trained in the past, he scores goals. So if he's not putting in training, it doesn't affect his game performances. So I don't know if that's the issue, but if Sergio's fit, you play him for me. So obviously, I'm looking at it as he's not fully fit.
But against all your setup, so you need to get the ball back, you need to defend from the front. If he doesn't do that, you sort of say, well, we have to adapt around that.
100%,
it's Aguero because he'll score,
100%.
Joleon.
That's exactly what you do. And them that player, that level, like, he's like a Messi, it's like a Ronaldo. Sergio is at that level for Manchester City in regards to his contribution. He will score goals. He will score you goals. And if everyone else is willing to do their job around that, he will be in the right place, not 10 times out of 10, and he will score you goals.
But he's shown he can do that. He's shown he can press from the front. He has shown that he can change his game. I just hope that there's nothing underlying with it, and that they are looking at tonight and maybe saying, look, going into the Christmas period, there's a lot of games. Can we get 15, 20 minutes into them at the end of the game? More minutes against Newcastle.
Maybe the home game,
managing, just managing his time better because the injuries that he's had and getting them right for the second half of the season. Because Sergio Aguero's second half of the season is going to be massive.
Absolutely, and like you say, actually, then if you look at it and go, we get him fit for the last 4 months of the football season, then you'll go, well,
that's more important than getting 90 minutes tonight.
Let's look at our opposition then, in Arsenal and Mikel Arteta. Paul, of course, a former club. That's kind of where you really kind of started. What have you made of I touched upon at the start, but Arteta's struggling. Arsenal, are they that far away, do you think, from being able to really compete in the Premier League and, of course, in other competitions?
Yeah, I think they're a million miles away. And I don't think that's down to Mikel. There's been problems at Arsenal for the last 10, 15 years. We've been talking way back since I was there when Tony Adams and Steve Bold Martin Keown were retiring about replacing the centre halves. They've never done that since Patrick Vieira, Petit, fantastic players that they had in midfield. When are we going to replace them? They've never done that, and that's something that eats away over the years. Because it's Mikel's come in and he got a reaction. He's shown that he can set them up well. He's defensively, they're okay. Yeah, they're okay, but it's the personnel that they've got, and when Mikel took the job, I think they were saying it will take a couple of transfer windows. I'm thinking it's going to take 3 or 4.
Yeah, the
5
thing is
maybe at least.
The thing is with Arsenal, like, they've never sustained the consistency needed in the competitions that you have to have it. Like, they've had cup success, but you can be lucky with your draw, and you can face teams that are not putting their strongest teams out, and then you only kind of really face the top teams or the top performers in the finals of them competition. But in the Champions League and the league, it's the best teams every week, and Arsenal haven't really been strong in them competitions. So, like Paul said, there is issues there, and it's been there for a long time.
I think that shows, though, and I think Mikel's cup record is ridiculous. I think 14, 15 games that they've only lost 1.
Yeah, I think
so I think that consistency and doing it week in, week out, and having the mentality more than anything else to keep your performances up there all the time. Because at times this season, I think Brownie touched on it before the start of the season, they look good, but they just can't keep that consistency. And I think more than, it's not just the talent in the team, for me it's the mentality around the club that's been lost for a long, long time.
But they've lost the home record as well. I think it's the worst since like 1950, 14 points from 14 games. It's really, really worrying. And we talk about players defensively, players that sort of would help in a centre-back role. But at the top of the pitch, we're not seeing Lacazette, Aubameyang combination. We see Mesut Ozil not even in the squad. So there's players there, but they just don't seem to be able to work as that team ethic. Mikel Arteta has tried to put a way of playing to try and get the best out of them. But now they don't seem to... so there's a foundation there to try and be hard to beat first, but they're just not progressing up on the pitch. Nobody's weighing in with those sort of goals.
And here's a question for you both, or three of you. Start of the season, if this is now, do you think Aubameyang signs, and do you think Arsenal would offer him the contract they've offered him now?
Oh, great question.
No.
Either? You don't think either would sign? Or
no, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. And I'll keep going back to it. You mentioned the likes of Aubameyang, Lacazette, and they've got fantastic players going forward, but you need more for them. It's not, I say it all the time, I think it's maybe because I've been on the other side of it, being in the manager's seat as well. The players have got to take responsibility for that. Mikel can't keep coming out and defending them. And I know he came out with all these stats percentages the other day there, and he's trying to deflect away from the players. But the players, it's a quarter-final tonight, they've got to go.
Yeah.
They've got to take that responsibility upon themselves.
And then off that as well, if they do turn up, Paul, then Arsenal are a different proposition we're going to be facing than what we've probably seen in the Premier League, if they do take up and step up to the plate.
Yeah, because they've got talented players.
Yeah.
And especially going forward, and for whatever reason it's not happening. And I can only, even the players talking about Aubameyang as well, the players we're talking about that we're saying are top-class player, borderline world-class players, they've been there for a few years as well, and still not produced, so it's for me, it's purely the mentality.
Paul, I think the group are worrying. When you talk about mentality, when it was going well, and you felt like he was getting the best out of them and they were getting some results, then they seem to have that little bit about them. The second it's got worse and worse, these players are turning up again. We're seeing 2 or 3 managers go in and try and do something with them, and
it's the same players. Yeah. It's the same group of players, or a majority of them the same group of players. So at some point, and I'm sure Mikel will know that. Look, Mikel's, as much as he's a lovely guy and a fantastic coach, he won't think twice about getting players out that he wants to get out, but when he's got the opportunity to bring in the players that he wants to bring in as well.
Which is you can't have one without the other, can you? Looking at his tactics, Michael, it is quite similar to Pep. Am I right in saying that? Is that fair to say, do you think?
I would say he's learned so much from Pep. I think he'll also have contributed. I don't think we give Pep Guardiola all the accolades, and rightly so, but I think Arteta was really, really behind a lot of those things. He worked tirelessly on all of the analysis side of it, I know that, and on the training field. So he will try to get his points across, but you'll look in the dressing room, you say, well, I've got these players at Manchester City, I've got these at Arsenal. How do I come up with a formation? You've seen him go with back 3, back 4, with one player in front screening. We've seen him trying the full-back come into the centre midfield role. We've seen him trying all these things that City do, but ultimately they're just not getting the results. Now the pressure's on.
We've got the Arsenal team there as well that we can bring you. Runnison is in net, Mustafi, Gabriel, Kolasinac and Cedric at the back, Elneny, Ceballos and Maitland-Niles in the middle with Willett, Lacazette and Martinelli there. That is the Arsenal team that we do face. And again, I guess, that is going to be a test for us to keep a clean sheet. Martinelli and Lacazette, and you've seen Maitland-Niles as well, they really can, put teams to bed.
Yeah, again, if they perform, it'll be a really tough task for City tonight. But again, it's just what Arsenal team turns up. We kind of know that Man City's mindset and mentality is good. We know consistently positive and wants to do the right thing. But we just don't know what Arsenal team's going to turn up, and that's the difference. It's not necessarily just quality. People see, well, Arsenal's quality is not the same as Man City. Yeah, it may not be, but the mentality will be totally different. The will to win, the will to be the best you can be every day in training and in games is the difference between being good and being great.
Yeah, flipping heck, I'll go to battle with you there, Joleon. And a question for you both, as both experienced in management. What would that be like to you're an assistant to someone and then you're coming up with them both, and you're a manager like them? Would that be weird for Mikel, do you think? I know they've done it a couple of times now, but I
think it'll be fine now. Maybe the first couple of times it happened, it would have been weird, and not just with Pep, but Mikel worked for 4 years with the players that were there as well, and had a great relationship with the players. I think, as I said before, that Mikel was the one for the Man City players to go to after training. And whether it was doing all the analyst stuff or whether it was doing one-on-ones in the pitch and everything else, Mikel was the one that done that a lot. So, just as well as he knows Pep and the team inside out, he knew the players inside out as well. And I think that's maybe why he got a little bit of joy in the FA Cup game. But as in Mikel going into it now, he's been at Arsenal a long time. He's got a lot of games as a manager now. So I don't think that'll affect him tonight. I
think that's the least of his worries now. Do you know the relationship with Pep?
We're not friends.
Sorry, Pep, we've done the high fives. I've had a mess about with you and enjoyed this role. Now it's just results. And I really want to see Manchester City try and blow them away. Really go at him. It's a really experienced team, and I feel put them right on the back foot. Really go after them, because they're lacking in confidence, aren't they? We know that. Loads of changes. Was it 8 changes from the weekend? Yep. So the continuity won't be there for them, and I think there's a real opportunity for City to go early and get some goals.
If I'm looking at City's team and the attacking players I'll get in it, I'm seeing Mustafi, Gabriel, Kolasinac in our back 4, and I'm thinking, yes, bring it on.
Licking my lips.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Mustafi, especially Kolasinac, they've no pace about them at all. And I think they're poor defenders. So, like Michael said there, you would like to see them, especially with the team that we've got going.
Yeah, and I would agree. But with my defensive head on, I would say, if you're coming into a team that's conceded, you're on it. You're thinking it's my chance to shine, because these aren't just coming in just to fill this game. This is a real opportunity for them to stay in the team.
Yeah.
It's different. Like, it's, again, in the greatest respect to Laporte, he's coming in, but if the Champions League final was on Saturday, John Stones is back in the team, regardless of how he performs. This is not the case for Arsenal. Everyone is able to play on the weekend, so that's what they're playing for, so it may be a different beast.
So interesting. What a proposition we have. If you've just tuned in, thank you for joining us on We're Not Really Here. 8 o'clock kickoff against Arsenal at the Emirates in our League Cup quarter-final. Just take a little pause from the conversation here, of course, to talk all about our supporters clubs. We've been giving out a supporters club plaque on every show, and We're Not Really Here since the start of the season, and today is no different. We're heading over to Bulgaria this week, and it's our supporters club in Sofia.
Hello, it's Stan from the Sofia branch here. With me it's...
Hi, Dimitri Yanko from Sofia.
And I'm the chairman of the Sofia branch. And I'm a City fan since 1993, since the dawn of the Premier League. But my colleague here is a bit older.
I'm a fan of 1976. The era of Shannon, Donaghy, Asa Harford, Joe Corrigan, Dave Watson.
And my favorite player in the 90s was King Kladze and Uwe Rösler. Obviously, they were both phenomenal. And about our branch, we created it last year in June, more than a year. And currently we're over 55 people across the country. Some interesting facts. My brother is from Leeds. We are twins, and we choose our teams in 1993 together. So he is the chairman of the Leeds United fan club for Bulgaria. And we're watching the games in one pub here in the downtown of Sofia. And basically, that's all interesting facts. And now back to the studio.
Back to the studio. They're all getting good at this now. That's our supporters. That's our supporters club over in Sofia in Bulgaria. So really great to have you both on the show, and you can get involved with that as well. Just go check out on socials. If you've just tuned in, let me quickly bring you up to speed with the Manchester City team. Zach Steffen places Ederson in goal. João Cancelo, Ruben Diaz, Aymeric Laporte, and Alexander Zinchenko are our back four. We've got middle three of Rodri, Fernandinho, and we think Bernardo Silva. It could be Phil Foden, but then it is looking like Riyad Mahrez, Foden and Gabriel Jesus make up the front three. Subs of Ederson, Walker, Stones, Sterling, Gundogan, Aguero and Torres. Gentlemen, this is our last game before Christmas, and now we're kind of really getting into the heart of this very busy fixture time. How difficult is it for players during this time, given such little recovery? Can we underestimate it as fans a little bit, do you think, Joleon?
Possibly, but as a player, it's just a normal. You don't know any different, so you don't feel it. Again, if results and performances are going well, you don't feel tired, you don't feel injured, you just get on with it, and it's when they change.
Don't ask a centre-back that question. I mean, seriously.
Shots fired.
When you go 5 yards right, 5 yards back, 5 yards forward. I mean, seriously. As a midfielder, you've got to play 26-28. Let me tell you about it, then you really know. And that's when you're feeling it. The centre-back just gets up, yeah, perfect, morning.
Okay, for the harder working players maybe on the pitch, Michael, is it tougher than I think we realise?
Now, to be honest, if you do play quick succession games, it is difficult to recover, no joke. But I think it's mentally when you have to get up Christmas Day, go to training, it's family issues, but actually it is, you just get used to it of the games, and it's a tradition here that you play over Christmas. So it is quite nice, and when you do get a Christmas Day off, which I've had a few of them and gone to play Boxing Day, feeling a little bit full on the morning.
Speaking of,
and away you go.
speaking of, Christmas Day or if you're getting Boxing Day off, is that a thing? I've heard about it. As fans are going,
5 yellow cards.
Do you know what I mean, getting that red card on the.
I know a few players that would time it.
Really?
But myself not included in that, by the way.
You had a few yellows, did you, Dicko?
I couldn't tell. I used to be suspended way before Christmas anyway, so
Coming up to 10 yellows.
But I'm like, I'm with Joel on this one. You don't know any different when you're playing. I think it's not until you finish playing and you do get your Christmas day off that you appreciate it so much. But I used to love it. The more games you played, the better. I used to love Boxing Day. Boxing Day, and then the 28th. But I say it all along. It's agreeing with Joleon again. You only feel tired when you're not winning.
Yeah.
If you're winning games and playing well, tiredness does not come into it. It's just a little excuse you've got in the back of your head.
Yeah.
I definitely lined the bookings up. I had a few, as we know, but my sister's wedding.
Really?
Yeah, 30th of December.
Oh, wow.
I had to be very selective.
That's poor, by the way. That's poor from you.
I don't know.
That's poor.
I couldn't not go to my sister's wedding.
Did that?
Sister's wedding, miss one. I was going to miss one of them.
But so hang on.
It's my sister's wedding. That's a really good excuse.
I'm with you.
It's a good
Listen,
excuse.
There's no
By the way-
excuses. There's reasons. It was about excuse.
That's a good one.
I'm with you, but I'm just interested in the technicalities here. So, what would you have to look at the fixture period and go, right? I'm on 3, so I need
to
across three games. I need 2 yellow cards.
You've got to be very, very careful to do it as well when you've got one coming. And I've got to say, well, you've asked me. I'll say another one. We got to a semi-final for
space.
Semi-final for Sheffield
one's
United
watching.
coming up, and obviously Championship playing against Arsenal, Premier League semi-final, FA Cup. But the game was forecast about 6 weeks later, and I'm on 9 bookings. So I'm thinking, oh no, it's a 2-match ban for 10. What do I go and do? And I'm thinking, oh no. So I said to Neil Warwick, Gaffer, I'm going to get booked soon, you know that. And he sort of giggled and thought, here we go. And thought I'd be under a bit of pressure if he really knew what I was going to do. So we're Stoke away. So I've kicked the ball away.
Accidentally on purpose.
79th minute for a two game ban, so I'm nowhere near the Arsenal and get it out of the way quickly before the semi-final. Referee walks up to me and says, Michael, what are you doing? You can't do that. So I've gone and kicked it again. And at that point, he's going to give me a yellow card. I'm going to have to book, yes, and thank you very much. I had 9 days in Barbados. I had to buy all the players a good meal and go and meet them, yeah. So
Why?
I got into trouble. Neil Warnock
Yeah, there's suspensions in that, yeah.
Neil Warnock give me
Really,
a
yeah.
good fine. I got told off, but we patched it up and all was
I've
good
had
after.
managers that have told me to go out and get booked.
Yeah. to miss certain games.
Yeah, to miss certain games.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
were fresh
No
for the
way.
coming games, yeah. I mean, I was like, yes.
We've
That was
seen
like me
that in the
scoring-
Champions League. We
That
see
was
that
like me
with-
scoring a goal.
Yeah.
You know,
Ramos.
by the way, go and get booked. I've had managers pull me over in a game and go, Dickie, go and start a fight. The game's a bit flat. Seriously, so, games and
Just, yeah.
everything, the crowd's a bit flat, team's a bit flat, and it's not really happening. They would go, Dickie, go and start a fight. So I would go and leather someday, everybody else would jump in.
Yeah.
Fans jump up and start
Dickie
get
just
going. and then,
moonwalking out of there.
Yeah. I used to let-
I'm alright, Gaffer.
I used to
I'm
start
alright.
I'd let Jerry Taggart and Matt Elliott, and then I'd start getting away for the back. And then
To be honest,
it
though,
done.
you did used to see it coming up to Christmas. There was always one who'd go off the one before. You'd think, I'm not sure he's injured. You can tell, but now you're just thinking you're not injured. You're just lining it up, and it's what it is. It is a running joke over the Christmas period. Those bookings. Yeah.
When would you do your Christmas parties then? I'm just generally
Christmas parties,
interested now.
what,
When would you do
start
that?
of December?
Yeah, we used
Has
to
to be
have once
December.
a month when I was playing.
Any stories from then, gentlemen? While we're at it? It's a very safe space.
Watershed.
Yeah, I know.
No. I remember we were all dressed as Blues Brother once with Paul all walking through a high street, which was quite interesting. So we had some great memories, some great days out over the years, which you did enjoy. It's getting harder and harder for the teams now to do it, and I think that is a slight miss that they can't do it as much. But we look at the rewards now and look at what the players are going through, what they have to do. The professionalism is amazing, and I think we underestimate what they have to do. That detail now is and to relentlessly keep doing it. We're talking about training Pep Guardiola, really good.
The thing, they're superstars now, aren't they, as well? So they couldn't. You imagine Sergio and Fernandinho walking down Winslow High Street dressed as the Blues Brothers, you know what I mean, in the first week
Sergio,
of
I've seen that
December.
before. I've seen him do that before. No, but yeah, it's different now, isn't it? It's different, but Christmas parties was like, you're building up from
the
that
one,
from like
yeah.
September. That's
Really,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
That was the fine pot. I love being taking care of the fines and collecting it, and you just knew there was that goal.
The start of November was doubles. We have doubles week, so
we've got
fines
Dublin coming. We're all going to Dublin,
Yeah.
fancy dress.
And the fines
weekend.
were ridiculous. The rules got stupider and stupider just so you could get the money for the pot for your Christmas party.
Oh my! If you ever can get me in for one Christmas party under more normal circumstances, I'll contribute to the pot as well. But actually, I remember reading. You know this about Johnny. Did Vincent Kompany not come in? And obviously, as in captain, obviously was giving out the fines. But then had Mika would have to go and.
I'm just finding that out myself. Like Meeks was like a little secret snitch.
That doesn't
We didn't
surprise
know
me, by
that.
the
We
way.
didn't but he would be the collector. So we all knew Vinny was that guy. Vinny was like looking for it. Anything that was wrong, he would be looking for the fines. But then we're just finding out now that Meeks was actually going back when Vinny wasn't in the room saying, yes, so-and-so's doing that, so-and-so's doing this.
Did he get away with his fines, by the way, as well?
Meeks?
Yeah. Do you think he was
contributing
using a fine and saying you've not got your flip-flops out in the showers?
All sorts.
Yeah.
All sorts. And you don't want his feet in your flip-flops. Gangrenes and bunions, all sorts. Yeah, no.
Well, as you say, very different times now, but we've got a brilliant documentary. See that tenuous link I've just done there to bring us back to some City TV stuff. But no, as you know, we bring you a whole host of brilliant original content over on City TV, City Plus actually, while we're checking out. And there's a brand new documentary coming your way. It's on there now, and it is a game that feels very different to a quarter-final against Arsenal in the League Cup. A rainy day up in York, I believe. A very famous fixture for us all. But we've got a documentary going into that moment, of course, what was under very, very different times. Check this out.
All aim for Cresswell. This is the highly talented youngster a number of Premiership clubs are watching. Gets in a good cross. Goes to Conley. The former Stockport player has scored for the Yorkshireman.
York City away, December the 19th, 1998.
York away will bring a weary smile nowadays to City fans of a certain age.
And I know the Man City fans now look back at that, Riley, as the worst time in your club's history, and probably rightly so.
The lowest of the low. It is the moment where we really were at our lowest.
It's just another game, Paul. We got to that point, it was just another game, it was another away day of fun. That's what it had become, fun.
There's that dark humour around that period, and there's a fondness and there's a warmth from that time. I think you always, through hardship and adversity, it creates incredible strength, and it doesn't get any worse than that, especially for a club the size of Manchester City.
They talk about the York game being the turning point of the low point, and the Wrexham game on Boxing Day was the revival, if you want to call it. So Christmas was ruined, but the New Year was slightly better.
There you have it, a City Plus exclusive. Paul, were you playing? Were you playing in that game?
I was suspended. It wasn't timed though. I didn't time the suspension.
There we go.
Yeah. Brilliant. That was a brilliant thing, wasn't it?
I was suspended.
No, I've never done it.
Then I came back Boxing Day.
So the manager must have told him.
But he was.
Joe must have told him to get it. To go start and fight.
Brownie, I know what it is. He'd asked you for your tips, and how do you time it again, Michael? Now to get it out. But no, it's kind of said quite poetically there. It's kind of the best of the worst times around that time. It kind of all
after that game we were 12th in the old Division 2, which was the lowest point in the club's history. You just couldn't believe it.
What year was that?
That was the 98-99 season. Yeah. And then we played Wrexham away Boxing Day. Gerard Viken scored actually, didn't he? 1-1-0.
I think that's when I got back in the team, Joleon. I was a young kid and it went all right from there, didn't it?
And then Stoke in between Christmas and New Year. And we were 1-0 down at half time and literally we got booed off, and we were stinky. At Stoke, at Main Road. And we came out second half, and I don't know if you remember, there was a few proper fisticuffs at half time. And Joe Royal was brilliant. And Joe just let us get after each other, just let us get it all out of our system. And just before, the only thing he said at half time was just before we're going back out, he went, "Now then, ladies." He went, "Go out there and just show me what you've shown me in the 15 minutes in here in the half time." And we went out, we won 2-1, we blew them away second half, and we never looked back.
Wow, no. It was literally a case of that as well, almost bottom of the barrel stuff where you go, well, it can't get any worse, so it can only kind of go up. What are we made of?
We knew we had good players, and experienced players, but we struggled with the division. We struggled with being the big team that was in there. Everybody's cup final, whether it was York we went to, somebody to Colchester away, everybody, the whole town was full of Man City fans, even in away games. And as a group, we struggled with it. Really struggled.
The only thing I could maybe liken it to now more, and it's still a different time, would be Sunderland, I guess, a little bit. And kind of what's happened to Sunderland, Michael, is, a massive club. You see the fan support that they get, and they kind of, just drop down the leagues.
Well, Sunderland are struggling. You see, obviously, the managerial changes and the problems they're having. The support is there for all to see. The financials that they've lost as well. So yeah, it's any club dropping in. We've seen a couple of teams now, big clubs going to League One, and it's not as straightforward. You would expect it to be, but I think looking that year, I think the average gate was about 27,000 in the league for Manchester City that year. So it's some support and some teams are coming.
Players that would never have played in front of that many and probably never do that again after that. Yeah. So it's intimidating.
It's amazing. Well, we're thankfully as well we did turn around, because now look where we are. We have got Paul Dickov, Michael Brown and Joleon Lescott in the studio for We're Not Really Here. If you've just tuned in, we have got around 15 minutes until kick-off at the Emirates. So if you've just tuned in, I can bring you that team again. Zach Steffen's in goal, João Cancelo, Ruben Diaz, Aymeric Laporte, Zinchenko at the back, Rodri and Fernandinho with Bernardo Silva in the middle, and Riyad Mahrez, Phil Foden and Gabriel Jesus, a bench of Ederson, Walker, Stones, Sterling, Gundogan, Aguero and Torres. We were just kind of speaking around that busy fixture, and Paul, you said as well, we were looking at defence maybe going, hopefully, if we're paced, we can maybe punish this Arsenal team. For this busy period, Michael, this could be a great springboard to actually break the duck of finishing, get a few goals and really kick on now into this busy time.
I think for me, it's just about getting the result. If this is the game you've got to get through, get into the semi-final. That'll be another great opportunity. Looking, Brentford have just gone on and beaten Newcastle. So there's teams there where you'd hope there's some good fixtures. Not that it affects Manchester City, the type of team that Pep always puts out in this competition. Yeah, so it's just about confidence, getting players minutes. But ultimately, yes, it'd be great to progress in this competition, but league form is going to be key to try and improve that and close that gap, because we want to win the Premier League.
Jolene, you touched upon it at the start, and I always love bringing up points that I don't think get spoke about enough in the general news and media. But it is that, I mean, we're unbeaten in this competition now in 4 years. We haven't been beaten. Like, that doesn't. No one speaks about that enough. That is unbelievable. No, do you not like?
Obviously, but again, it's the kind of the euphoria that City have created and Pep has created, that things like that are now the norm. So at Man City, scoring 5 goals is the norm, where if you look at it, the cup competitions it's just about results, not about performances. I don't remember how we played against Stoke in the FA Cup. Yeah. No one really cares. As a player, you don't care how you play in the cup, you just want to win. And as I said, it's a blessing and a curse that they have performed well, because obviously when it doesn't go as well, you then get scrutinised a little bit more. But tonight is just about the result. It always is in the cup competitions.
And so would that, in a way, is there a kind of a slight different? Obviously, you always play to win, but a bit of a different approach then to the knockout games, Paul, as players.
I don't think the City players there isn't. They want to win every game. Every game they set up to play every game since Pep's been here. They want to go out there and win that game, but Julian's bang on. Tonight's all about winning and getting in the semi-final in February and progressing, because, as I said, the history in this competition over the last 4 years is just ridiculous.
It is amazing, isn't it? To keep going and to have these amount of results for long periods of time. I think it's almost a second trip will become February, or whether the dates change. Well, we'll book our tickets. Let's get on the train. Let's get to Wembley.
I always leave that week free. I'm not going to lie.
It is an amazing return, isn't it, from the football club? And if it can continue, I don't want to play Manchester City in the Carabao Cup.
I do think that comes from Pep's first season, though, and that first trophy. Yeah. I think where a lot of managers at the time were maybe resting 5, 6, 7 players and playing the kids. He wanted to get that first trophy under his belt, and he drummed that into the players as well, about that winning mentality, getting the early doors. And I said it's shown over the last 4 years.
So that's what I wanted to ask. Is that then what we talk? When you talk about the change in a mentality, but also a philosophy within a football club, that's, I guess, what we're talking about, is setting those new standards and practices, Joleon.
Yeah, 100%. And it doesn't come easy, but when the likes of Pep come in, that is a serial winner, it's easy to buy into that. Again, Mikel has had success as a coach, but it's different. The players may not be buying into what he's saying, because the results are not as fast. They won the FA Cup, but overall they haven't kind of dominated the way he would have predicted and would have liked. And with Pep, they have. So it's easy to buy in, and you just kind of, well, it's working, so let's do more of it. Let's do more of it, and as time goes on, you just become more successful. But it is hard. It's not easy to do. It may look easy to the naked eye. And as I said, if this was another team, I feel if this was Liverpool or United that hadn't lost in 4 years, it would be a lot more glamorised than it would be than it is Man City. We just, as I said, it's the norm.
We should crack on with it. We're coming up against Arsenal now. Of course, in our last few meetings, they did beat us 3-0 in the FA Cup, but last year, remember, with at home actually, last season, Sterling 1-0. So, Michael, it's always kind of been a bit of, a cat and mouse between Pep and Arteta. For those who've just tuned in, we've got the Arsenal team there as well. Of course, coming into it in bad form. But how do you think City are going to go out and will be playing? What is the best way we can beat this Arsenal team today?
Well, as I said about attacking them, low on confidence. Manchester City have won the last 3 times at the Emirates, so it tells you they won't want to play Man City. They'll be worried about what type of performance is coming their way, and again, how serious City take this competition. So it's about good performances, no mistakes, just start rolling the ball around, getting used to it, getting playing fast tempo. I think they'll want to get back in, get defensive shape set up, so if you can beat and get through that a little bit earlier, then it'll be better.
We're going to get predictions in just a second, gentlemen. We're just under 10 minutes until kick-off. Not before that we've got into Mystery Blue. So every week on We're Not Really Here, we have a blurred picture of an ex-Manchester City player. This is a roll-on from last weekend's show.
I know that.
Okay, Joleon straight in there. So no one got this in the game against Southampton. So it's been rolled on. Whoever does get this, and it could be someone here in the studio as well, or at home, we're going to give you our Christmas elf, Fabian Elf, right there. That could be yours. We'll send it your way.
I got that.
Hot ticket prize, by the way. We've got guesses. Have you got a guess?
Oh, yeah, I've got a guess.
And you've got a guess. And have you got a guess?
No, I've not got it.
Have you had a guess before, Paul?
I'm not telling you.
He has guessed, hasn't he?
Yeah, so I've got 2 guesses then.
You've got, Okay.
Go on then.
Well, we're going to save you, but if you want to get involved at home, tweet us at Man City, or just use the hashtag WNRH. Get your guess in. We're going to revisit some at half time. I'm going to don't worry, we'll get this right. I'm going to hear Joleon's is going to tell me, so I know you don't change it.
You know who it is?
Yeah. Do I know who it is? We'll just find out from the gallery. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm.
I fancy a guess at it, to be honest.
You fancy a guess that?
I'll have a go at it.
Okay, that is interesting, right?
I honestly didn't think that was it.
Yeah. Okay.
So honestly, I didn't see it. I said before,
you didn't think it was that.
And I'm still shocked by that.
You can say
really,
him.
yeah.
We know it's a him, so you can say I didn't think it was him rather than that.
It was a good one in there.
Are you sure?
So if you want to get involved with that, we're going to look at half-time, and then either half-time or full-time, we're going to reveal the winner. If no one does get it, Joleon on a tweet, and we're saying within like these next 8 minutes, and yours is correct,
I'm taking
you
it.
get Fabian Elf. And Brownie, you were writing him up as well.
I wanted it. I really wanted to take it as well. I was here when he got named.
I've got one, so that's all right.
Okay, well, I haven't got one actually. I'll be speaking to the staff after that. Right, guys, let's get into our predictions then. And we've kind of spoke about Arteta. We spoke about the Arsenal team coming up against City. Joleon, going to begin with you.
Yes.
How can you see this one playing out?
I see City winning 3-1. Again, I'd like to see the kind of free-flowing football that we like to see from Man City, and I expect it to be more goals with low in confidence Arsenal. But I do see them scoring with the like of John Stones out.
Michael, I mean, there's the clean sheet record is not going to be quite kept. Are you thinking with that?
Well, I was thinking 2-1 to City, but the amount of changes for Arsenal does concern me. So
I can't change it, mate.
I don't know if I can change it. No, you can't. I'll stick with 2-1. I won't change it because we didn't know the team before when we did mention some predictions. So I'll stick with 2-1.
We're coming back in a second. Paul, what was your prediction?
I went with 2-0, but only because I wanted to go with 3-1 and then 2-1, so I had to change it around a little bit. But no, I think with the clean sheets that we've been keeping, the way we've been defending, 2-0, Man City.
We love that. What would you have changed it to out of interest?
What's your prediction?
What's my
I want to
prediction?
hear yours. Come on, because you're always on.
Well, no, all right. I'll say for me, I can.
Come on, off the fence quickly.
I was a 4-1. 4-1.
Oh, wow, it's gone big.
Yeah, I'm going for the goals. I'm a bit like Paul though with this. When I say it, and I go, do you know, we should put 4 goals past Arsenal at the Emirates.
can.
It's brave.
Yeah.
That's why I don't get asked the predictions. I sit on the fence, and we will get that leaderboard sorted at half time. Is there a quick, before we wrap up, does this run the risk, though? You know, when you see these games and go, well, their defensive record isn't great, we should hopefully be scoring, Arsenal aren't great, that you go, actually, it just plays out in a completely different way, and it ends up being a 0-0 or a 1-0. Hopefully it won't be more.
Yeah, it can do that, but we can't judge them or that back four on Arsenal's defensive record because it's not the same defence.
Yeah.
It's different. And again, their mentality will be coming in to stay in this team. So they'll be kind of dying for the cause tonight to keep a clean sheet.
Yeah, as it's like this, I think it was just a bit like the derby. You think it has all the ingredients, don't you, Michael? And then actually it always...
Please, surely not. We're going to get goals. We've got to get goals this evening.
It's one leg tonight, though, isn't it?
It's one leg.
Yeah,
and I think
exactly.
that's the key as well, is in the cup competition, you would hope towards the end of the game we would make sort of different decisions. We'd be going for it. So, yeah, hopefully there's more risk taking.
Fingers crossed. Remember as well, there's no extra time. It will be straight to penalties if it stays a draw. Come join us, though, after 90 minutes to see if that will be the case. We will also be back after 45 minutes to get into the first half of our quarter-final game in the Carabao Cup. Manchester City take on Arsenal at the Emirates. Alistair Mann's got your commentary over on City Plus. And we'll be back at half-time. Thank you for joining us. Go get yourself a little brew. Come on, City.